I'm Leon Warden, and I am pleased to welcome this week's newsmakers, Cappy Carey and her brother, Harry Carey Jr. Thank you for joining us.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Pleasure to be here,
How
too.
you doing today?
Good. Thanks for coming all the way out from your home in Santa Barbara.
Well,
and you've come out for this dedication of your childhood home as a county park today.
That's exactly right. Cappy and I were both born up there on the ranch. I was born in 1921. She was born in 1924 or three. Anyway, we're going back to the old homestead. Well, it's an adobe house now, but the house we were born in was a frame house, you know, a wooden house, but it burned down, and so anyway, it's going to be kind of a sentimental journey.
Well, you were born on the ranch in Saugus. Now, we're talking about San Francisquito Canyon.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, right at the mouth of it, actually.
In your early years there on the ranch,
yes.
you know, there was a trading post there. You had some
Navajo
Indians, yes.
there.
I could speak Navajo before English.
Tell me about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
She could talk Navajo before she talked English.
Yes, I've lost a lot of it, and it's really made me sad. I wish I had kept up with
Well,
it.
you can't if you don't have them around.
You know, but yes.
Yeah, but how did that happen? Did you have a Navajo nanny or something?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Yeah,
And
Johnny.
Zani, her name was. She was just wonderful to me. And, yeah, she dressed me all up in the Navajo outfits, you know, with the three-tiered skirts and the velveteen blouses. And, yeah, it was a wonderful time.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
How many? Why Navajo Indians at the trading post?
Well, my dad made movies, you know, silent movies back in the teens and the early 20s, and they were out there on the Navajo reservation and shot a lot of them. It was early John Ford. You've heard of John Ford, and he was more or less discovered by our father. And the first movie ever made was with our dad, and so they were out there in Arizona, and he got to know a lot of the Navajos there, and they worked on some of those movies in the you know, chasing him around, playing the bad guys, of course.
And he fell in love with them.
So then they started. He made arrangements to have him come up and work on the ranch, and then at that time we had 3,000 acres, and he put on a rodeo every Sunday. So they had. You know, a lot of roan riding and with the Navajos and the cowhide races. You remember the? You don't remember? You were too small.
I was too little. Yeah. I don't remember those.
But anyway, it was great, and I'd ride on the Grand Entry with my father and take my hat off.
What are the cowhide races?
There's one Navajo sitting on a horse with a dallied around the saddle horn. There's a rope and it's tied to a cowhide, and the other guy stands up on a cowhide like a surfing thing, and or like one of those things that goes behind a motorboat, you know.
Right, and they go like ski.
And just roaring around this track, you know, and just sliding and called a cowhide race. It was wild. They run into one another and everything else.
You know, going back through the old pages of the old Signal in the 1920s.
Oh, you looked at that?
One thing I see there is that there were, I guess, there was a baseball league. You know, the Harry Carey Indians would play the Tom Mix Wildcats.
Yeah. In fact, they beat the Tom Mixes something like 40-1.
Do you remember those baseball games?
Yeah, I do, because I was kind of a mascot, and that was in my goodness, I was around 5 or 6 years old. But it was a semi-pro team, and they had some ex-major leaguers on it. A guy called Mike File, and was a pitcher, and a guy called Stubby Mack was a former major league catcher. So it was a pretty good competitive league. And Tom Mix, that's funny you brought that up, because the Tom Mix team was not in our league, not in our team's league, and he just slaughtered them, you know.
What, Tom Mix was in
They weren't as good. They just were, you know.
Well, they weren't as good as the Harry.
No, the guys my dad had were all semi-pros and pros, you know. So.
Now, some of the Navajo Indians, though, played baseball.
But they didn't play ball.
Right?
This was all just regular.
Oh, it was just a name. It wasn't that the
Yeah,
Navajos
that's
were
right.
playing.
Just a name. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like the Cleveland Indians.
Yeah. And did they played actually there on the Saugus Ranch?
No, they played on the other side of the railroad tracks in Saugus at the near the railroad station. Right in the town of Saugus.
Yeah, they had a little ball diamond there. I didn't see any of that because I was too little.
Yeah, but it's fun.
You know, you mentioned John Ford, and I understand, well, I understand, I read in your book here, Company of Heroes, that the night you were born, your dad had John Ford over to the ranch.
Yeah, and they were tipping the jug a little bit, and
well, you know, in the book, you refer to John Ford as my nemesis and my hero. I mean, obviously, right. John Ford meant something to you as you got into acting yourself.
Well, I'd done about 3 or 4 movies, but he didn't count that. And so, according to him, my first movie was with him, and it was called Three Godfathers, and it was kind of a starring role. I'm not saying this to be phony modest or anything, but I've always been a character actor. I'm not what you call a star, because I don't have that quality. So, but it was a starring role, and that was the end of, you know, it was. And from then on, I worked for Ford 9 different movies, and it was, you know, the most popular one, I think, that's still on television all the time, is that one there, Yellow Ribbon. She wore a yellow ribbon. Mm-hmm. So that's how I got matched up with him. And he was quite a character, and of course, a genius at what he did.
And you had some photos where I guess he shot some films at the ranch.
Yeah, he did, but I was too small to remember that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, they shot some of those because Pop and John Ford made 26 westerns together. In
one of those films, you were in Rio Grande with John Wayne.
Yeah.
There's a scene of you Roman riding, standing on top of 2 horses.
2 horses.
Now, is that something you learned how to do at the ranch in Saugus?
No. The Navajos used to do it, mm-hmm. but no. Ben Johnson and I learned that about a month before the movie started, and we went out to Fat Jones's stables. And the thing is, when you start down the road to get on 2 horses, you're sitting on the left-hand horse, and your other hand is on the right hand, on the withers of the other horse. When you start to get up, you can't hold them and get up at the same time, which is good, because then they really take off. Mm-hmm. And when they do that, when I was learning, I probably shouldn't tell this on myself because it spoils the whole thing, but I'd get halfway up, and then I'd see that earth going by about 40 miles an hour, and I'd sit back down, you know. And finally, there was a wrangler there named Hank Potts. He was an ornery old guy, and if he had a hangover, he was really ornery, and he said, next time you sit down on the inside horse, I'm going to hit you with this rock. And that's when I quit sitting down. And
that's when you quit sitting down? Yeah. Before we get entirely away from the Navajo Indians on the ranch, there's this story that's been circulating for now, you know, what, 8 decades, just about. The night that the St. Francis Dam broke, or the night before, that the Navajo Indians on the Harry Carey Ranch had some kind of a premonition or vision or something that the dam was going to break, and they all left.
Yeah, but it was more than a night before. It was like a month before.
Okay.
And they heard that our pop that we were all going back to the east because my father was on a personal appearance tour thing. Mm-hmm. And they said, if you leave, we want to leave. And my father said, why? And they said, because the dam's going to break. And my dad said, our dad said, where did you hear that? And they said, the medicine man, when they rode by there, they went up there deer hunting, and when they rode by the front of the face of the dam, old Dine Tilbygay, they called him, he said that it was very bad and there was a big crack, and predicted it would break.
And the water was leaking more.
The water was leaking out of it, seeping out of it.
The trading post that was there right up until the dam burst, you know, is that, I mean, we're talking 1920s, and I guess it probably was built in the, probably the late teens?
Probably, I'd say probably the early 20s.
Okay.
Yeah, it did very well because the dudes from town had come out. In fact, you got out there faster in those days than you do now.
Yeah, I'll bet.
Yeah. So that's how.
So it wasn't a real trading post. It was
no. Actually, it was a general store.
Okay.
Had some canned goods and stuff, and then beautiful Navajo rugs and Navajo jewelry there.
Mm-hmm. That the Navajos made on the ranch?
made right at the ranch.
They used to
Yeah. And the silversmith was there too. Remember old Stryker?
I do.
Mm-hmm.
And if you got the right permission and permits and stuff, you could hunt there.
Okay.
And but usually that wasn't allowed because of the livestock that was all around. So you know, bullets flying around isn't good. We lost a pedigreed bull there from a deer hunter. Thought it was a deer. Now, how you can mistake a Hereford bull for a deer, I'll never know. But he did.
Was this a regular working ranch? I mean, besides the films that were shot there.
If my dad hadn't been a movie star, which at that time he really was a big movie star, and I know it's hard to believe now, but he was, and he you know, if it didn't pay for itself, he made up the difference. But to make a living on that ranch, I don't think you could do it because it was after the flood, there was just too much sand. There wasn't enough ground that it was tillable.
But before the flood, you had horses and sheep.
Yeah, tons of everything: sheep, horses, Navajo Indians, everything. Yeah.
So the flood came March 12, 13, 1928, and wiped out the trading post. What else was wiped out?
Well, Mr. and Mrs. Harter, which ran the trading post, they were two Caucasian people that worked there, and they were drowned because 1 in the morning when it hit that. And who else was there that was skipped?
Well, I don't hardly remember the trading post, but it took out all the alfalfa fields and
all that. It turned into sand.
Yeah, just turned everything into sand.
That night you were in New York, but you came back and you spent some more years.
Oh yeah, well, it took us. My father said, "Well, I'm talking too much."
No, that's what you're here for.
Well, you're here for that too. He said, "I won't go back to that graveyard." And finally, our mom, drove up with our Uncle George.
Olive, who was also in the pictures.
Yeah, and looked it over, and she came back and she told our dad that it was like a sick child and needed caring for. And then he went up and looked at it, and they said, "Let's move back." And I think, I don't know if you remember it, Cappy, but it was the happiest time of my father's life, reconstructing that old place, which had been abused by tourists and stuff there, and a lot of people shooting holes and things
in the windows and all busted and all, but
But when he was back there fixing that place up again, I think it was the happiest time of his life. He was just in seventh heaven.
We were all kind of camping out while he was, nailing up the boards and.
Bill Reed was.
Bill Reed was helping us.
Tractor and it was great stuff.
Before I forget, it's Dobe Carey and Cappy Carey.
Yeah.
Where do those nicknames come from? I mean, it's Ella. So where does Cappy come from?
I'm born Ella. Yes, my father's mother's name was Ella, and when I was a baby, my dad had a yacht, or a schooner, I think he called it, down at Balboa. And evidently they took me as a baby out on the boat and had me in a wash basket, like a laundry basket on the boat. And my mother said that he would go by me and say, "How's the little captain?"
That's exactly right.
So then I got the name Cappy for short.
Where's Dobe come from?
Dobe comes from my red hair and the red adobe clay on the ranch. When I was born, I just had a lot of this bright red hair, and he said I looked like a glob of adobe mud, and that made me Dobe. Yeah.
Now, you went to school at Newhall School.
Yeah.
And let's see. So we're talking 1920s into the 30s.
30s. It was in the 30s.
So the Newhall Elementary School was not where it is today. That would have been at Lyons and Newhall Avenue. More
That's right.
Is that where it was?
It's not there.
Yeah.
It's not there anymore.
Yeah.
What do you remember about that? What?
Well, I remember one thing. She met her husband there, but she didn't know it at that time.
I didn't know it was going to be, no.
Yeah, and he was my best buddy. He was a prize fighter.
What was his name? What was his name?
His name was Al Taylor, but he was a terrific fighter. She made him quit fighting, and I think it was a mistake. But anyway,
that's water under the bridge.
Al and I were always together on weekends and stuff. He was an orphan, and the state paid a lady there in Newhall to support those kids, and then when he reached a certain age, then he came up and stayed at our place until he finished high school.
And then I'd follow my brother and him around.
No, she drove us.
Drove him crazy.
Drove us crazy because we couldn't
tagging after him.
She was always tagging after us. and flirting. Cappy was a big flirt when she was...
No.
And she wasn't... She was a very sweet, innocent girl, but she was a flirt.
Oh.
And she'd flirt with my buddies.
And I never got over it.
She still had it, yeah.
You had some pretty famous parents when you were kids at Newhall School. Were you Hollywood kids, or were you Newhall kids?
A lot of times they didn't even know who our parents was.
Okay.
I didn't even think about that. You know, I was so into the horses and the animals. You know, I was just a cowgirl.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
And Cappy's an animal nut. She always has a dog, and she's always been able to communicate terrific with animals. She does very well with animals.
Well, how is it that you followed in Mom and Dad's footsteps and you didn't?
I got astray, you know. I was this guy that followed him around.
Too busy flirting with that guy.
Yeah.
I went down the wrong road. Anyway, I did some acting in New York. I was in the stage play on Broadway with my father in All Wilderness.
Mm-hmm.
And the Theater Guild of America wanted to sign me to a personal contract, and I backed out.
Yeah.
And I wanted to go back to the horses, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So then, you know, I did a little bit of TV work in the 50s, but, you know, just walk-ons and stuff.
Thinking of New York actors, there's one New York actor who, in your book, you say that he used to come out to the ranch once in a while, and you described him as a real hamola in films, and that was William S. Hart.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man.
Yes, he was so dramatic. And...
Tell him about the dinner party.
oh, yes. Thanks, Cap. He came up... he was full of this Wild West stuff, and he was a New York Shakespearean actor is what he was. And so my father, doing Prohibition, there wasn't any liquor, so my dad said, Bill, would you like some a drink? And he'd say, why, hell yes. And so they brought out this jug of grappa, which is Italian moonshine, but it was very good grappa, but you had to go easy with it.
Made out in the canyon?
No, it was made in a canyon down near Newhall, where it was against the law, but we knew the family that we bought it from, my folks bought it from. And so he said, well, I was weaned on this stuff, something worse to that effect. And he took a great big gulp and started to strangle and choke and turned all red and went, oh my God. My father said, I warned you, Bill, and that we finally calmed down, and we went into dinner, and there was a bowl of those chili peppers that the Corral family, the Mexican family, lived on the ranch, and they grew this stuff.
There.
And if you bit in one of those, it took you a week to get over it. And he said, he reached in, and my father said, Bill, go easy on that. They're tough, hard to handle unless you're used to them. And I was raised on, and he bit off one of these things, and all he went through again.
Oh, my God.
And she and I had to leave the table.
Yeah, we were rolling on the floor.
Yeah, we were falling down, laughing so hard. Well, he was quite a character.
In the 20s, I mean, I know he pretty much quit making films after about 1925, and then he remade Tumbleweeds in '39. But so in the 20s, where would you go see movies?
Down to San Fernando.
San Fernando.
Okay.
At the Rennie Theater in San Fernando.
The old Rennie Theater, yeah.
Okay.
And that was a big outing for us.
Oh, yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, Pop didn't like movies.
No, he wouldn't go.
No.
Mom would take us.
And he didn't like us to go to the movies, and he said, read books.
Why not?
Oh, he said it was got everything wrong and got you the wrong...
Put wrong ideas in our head.
No, I mean historically wise.
So he didn't think that the Western films were authentic enough?
No, he said they were all phony, and and we didn't believe him. So
well, it was that's always been the big legend about Bill Hart, that he wanted to bring real authenticity to the films. Did you not think that Hart's films were had that kind of authenticity?
Well, we thought they were pretty corny. He was such a ham,
Cracking up laughing.
But I don't know why I say that, because he was a very, very popular star.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I just never could figure out why.
There were some other popular people who came out to the ranch. Will Rogers, Will James, Charlie Russell.
Charlie Russell, Will James, and I'm not sure about Will Rogers coming there. I know my dad used to go to Will's quite a bit.
Yeah, we went down there. I don't remember him at the ranch.
But yeah, Will James and Charlie Russell came. My father built a cabin down just below, a Dobe cabin, below our house for him to stay in when he came up and visited.
Well, did Charlie Russell paint at the ranch?
Yes, he painted on a mural. My Aunt Mignon, who was with us, she said that he painted on a mural down there in that cabin, and he had it stretched on the floor.
I want to touch on a couple of things that you did here in the Santa Clarita Valley. I mean, when you did a number you appeared in a number of Gunsmokes.
Yeah.
Weren't some of them here at Melody Ranch in Placer Canyon?
Yeah, they were. Yeah. And I also did a show for Disney's called Spinnin' Marty.
Yeah.
It was a kids show, and we shot that at Placer Canyon.
Okay.
At the Disney Ranch, but it wasn't. It was called the Golden Oak Ranch then.
Yeah, they still call it that today.
Oh, they do?
On the other side of the 14 freeway. And,
yeah.
And it's still there.
Sure. I ran horses up and down that place a lot.
What are your biggest memories as you think back on your time in the Santa Clarita Valley? What about the Santa Clarita Valley do you think about these days?
How about you, Cappy?
Oh, I haven't been back in so long, but I do think about the ranch. I think about the freedom I had, and I'm probably going to rain on you. Anyway, I think about the freedom I had and just get up in the morning and then get on a horse and just take off, and, you know, and my folks and the big fires in the fireplace when it was pouring rain, and Dad always had like 10 to 11, 12 dogs. He was dog crazy. And they'd all be wet outside, and he'd open the front door and say, "Come on in, boys," you know, and my mother would just flip out, you know. All those great stories, you know, with all the dogs and the horses, and
Great Christmases too.
great Christmas. And they never let us see them do the tree. We had to see the tree in the morning when we got up, and oh boy, you know, it was just.
We had a great childhood.
Get up Christmas morning, and of course I always wanted stuff for the horse, you know, saddles and bridles, and get up in the morning and all these gorgeous presents under this homemade tree, you know, with the popcorn and cranberries, and it was great.
Oh, really something. Really something.
Pretty nice memories.
I know you lived in Colorado for a time. You came back to Santa Barbara.
We came out here from Colorado, moved back because of my sister Cappy here and our grandkids and our daughters. Our son Tom's a priest back in New York, but our two daughters live here, so, and our grandkids. So it's great. It's a great.
And your little great grandboy.
Yeah, and we're great grandparents. Little Wesley is a great little guy. Oh, I have a grandson who's now a pilot. He just flew from Tucson to Afghanistan, all by his lonesome.
Really?
Yeah, in what they call an A-10, which is a one-man bomber. So I'm proud of him. He's really something.
Well, I know that you continued to do films until not too terribly long ago.
You know, the last one was with Tom Selleck about 10 years ago, I think. Yeah.
You were in Tombstone. Didn't you have a part in, I think, Exorcist 3? I mean,
oh, God, yeah, I was in that.
I'm
not. I don't brag about that, though.
Who do you like these days? Who's doing Westerns well these days? Anybody?
Nobody.
There you go.
But that's not their fault. There's no directors doing them. You know what I mean? I think if Steven Spielberg decided to make one, it would be a great one. If you know, because he's a kind of a man that would more or less take his technique from the masters like John Ford and Howard Hawks and Bill Wellman and those guys. And Westerns were marvelous because they had a lot of country to work with, and they see nowadays if a television guy that comes from television directing, where they go to a place like Monument Valley or some gorgeous place in Colorado or something, and they shoot close-ups. And you can do that in Hollywood. You know, they come in and you have all this country, and they're doing big heads of the leading lady, and you know. So those old timers, I sound dated, but those old timers knew how to shoot Westerns because they used the country.
Now that your childhood home is becoming a county park, what do you want people to take away from that?
Well, I'd like them to take away a little history of the early motion picture business and what the country was like up there when Cappy and I were little kids. It was really wild and Western up there. Isn't
And
that
the
what you-
warmth and the love and the animals on the ranch
That's exactly right.
and the Navajos.
Cappy Carey, Harry Carey Jr., thank you both for joining us.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you so much
Pleasure.
for inviting me.
And thank you for joining us. If you missed any portion of this program, you can read a transcript in the Sunday Signal. Be sure to check back here, SCVTV Channel 20, for another Newsmaker of the Week.
When I look down over that valley there and see that water and stuff and the adventures that went on here, it was really something growing up here. When I went in the Navy, my mom wanted to get off the ranch and get down to the beach or something, so she talked my dad, well, she sort of almost forced him, I guess, into leaving the ranch. I hate to inject this note, but when he drove off this place, he aged 10 years, boom, just like that. And I know why, because he loved this place very much. He always said that someday I'd have it and Cappy'd have it, and it didn't work out that way, but I'm just as grateful it didn't, because I probably couldn't have kept it up anyway. When I leave here today, I'll always leave a piece of my heart with it. Here too, because my horse is buried here. My father's horse is buried here. And I don't know if Cappy's horse is buried here. I think he just died of meanness and blew away. He bucked me off one time, coming up a hill there. There used to be a hill there. It's where we got the Dobe bricks to build this house. The house to build cost $3,000, and I think it was worth every penny of it. It's sold up pretty good. On behalf of Cappy and myself and my wife Marilyn and all of our family, all the Careys, God bless you so much, and take care, and we'll see you all down the road. Thank you so much.
As I walked out in Laredo one day, I spied a poor cowboy all wrapped in white linen.
That is pretty, what the kid is singing, huh?
It's what the folks back home would call a lullaby.